welcome to another Coffee with Kilroy, or what I sometimes call beverage in a book. My beverage, well, it's coffee. My book, well, today it is Dune, Adventures in the Imperium, the role-playing game. And today you're getting a triple feature of sorts. So it is a sci-fi fantasy Saturday because Dune clearly fits within the sci-fi genre and is actually based on a book and actually a series of books that kind of defines the sci-fi genre. Dune was very, very instrumental in the for its time and in the development of epic sci-fi storytelling. So Frank Herbert did quite a few books, and then of course his son picked it up and went into a lot of books as well, and has kept it alive. But it's also been kept alive in movies. The most recently being the Dune that came out last year, and then there was one in the 80s. I have it somewhere. I'm having a hard time finding my stuff lately, but there was one in the 80s that was kind of it was gutted before it went to the theater. Otherwise, it was going to be like a 4-hour movie possibly. But I saw it in the theaters. I thought it was fine, and I wasn't as familiar with Dune at that time when I saw the movie. But then subsequent to that, I did read all the Herbert Dune offerings and went back and watched that movie. And I think it's fine. I actually preferred, until the more recent version, I preferred the sci-fi series Dune. That was again, it was a series on Sci-Fi Channel, and I liked that series. I thought that was I thought they did a good job there of telling the story, and the new one is done very well as well. So this is kind of your Kilroy Goes to the Movie. This is your threefer for the day. Getting if you're a big fan of Dune, I'd recommend taking a look at the old sci-fi series or Sci-Fi Channel series. But the new offering is good, and it's due to come out with a part 2 next year. My only downside on this is it's relatively slow, and they cut off right at a good part. Spoiler alert. I mean, it stays relatively true to the book, and but kind of cuts it off at a kind of climactic situation, which it wasn't going to fall prey to what the 1980s version, which was they tried to put everything in one movie, and they had to gut some stuff, and so it just didn't all gel as well. They weren't going to do that, so they were going to split it. But anyway, so I'll reserve my I like it. I thought the acting was good. I want to reserve my judgment until I see the second to tell which series to watch on that. So there you go. There's your Kilroy Goes to the Movies. There's your book review. This is on a sci-fi fantasy Saturday with a cup of coffee. So with that, I need to get a sip, and we want to look into this book. I don't have, and this is my first foray into the Dune role-playing. I've really never done anything with Dune on role-playing, or picked up any role-playing systems or books or anything like that. So, but Modiphius is really big on putting out interesting role-playing content, and I've been picking up some of their stuff. So let's take a look here what it says in the back here. The Dune adventure in the Imperium role-playing game takes you into the far future beyond anything you have imagined, where fear is the mind killer. So be sure to keep your wits about you. I really can't understate how, it's my opinion, but I think it's been shared by a lot of people. Dune was just groundbreaking. How it took on, created a whole universe. Dune was to sci-fi kind of what, to me, Tolkien was to fantasy. It created it carved out its own place in the universe, and how epic stories could be told. Anyway, sorry. The Imperium is a place of deadly duels, feudal policies, and mysterious abilities where noble houses politic constantly for power, influence, and vengeance in a universe where a blade can change the fortunes of millions. Build your house, carve your place in the universe, or rebuild an ancient lineage and fight for the Imperial throne. Take your characters on a journey through the storied worlds of Frank Herbert's sci-fi masterpiece. Inhabit elite agents working for noble houses, where mentats, swordmasters, spies, Bene Gesserit sisters, devious advisors, or even the desert freemen join together to follow your banner. Whoever you choose to be, remember that those that control the spice control the universe. So it contains everything you need to create your own stories, a brand new version of the 2D20 system, adapted for the Dune universe, an extensive look at the Imperium, its society, factions, histories, technology, culture, faith, and more, guidelines for novice and experienced game masters, and an introductory adventure, Harvesters of Dune, designed to get you quickly into your fellow players, to get you and your fellow players involved in the Byzantine plots of the Imperium of Arrakis. The Imperium on Arrakis. There we go. All right, so let's get in. This came shrink wrapped, as you can see here. So let me have another sip of coffee here. Clear all my books and movies out of the way here. And feel free to share your comments. If you've played this or have this, feel free to talk about what you think about it or how well it does for a role-playing system in the Dune universe. But also, if you want to talk about any of the movies or any of the books, that can be quite lengthy discussion. But, hey, I don't think there's a limit on how many comments I can have down there, so have at it. So here is the book here. Move my coffee out of the way. Hardbound. It's Legendary, which is the movie production company, Modiphius and Gale Force 9. Gale Force 9 has some of the rights to Dune and for gameplay, so that's interesting how you have all three of those here. So, it's interesting if they're going to base this with the Legendary list up there. I wonder if they're going to base part of this on the movie series as opposed to just strictly on the book series. Here's all the credits. Here's the contents. Quite a bit in here. You've got introduction, the known universe. I'll sweat in there a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Creating your house, creating your characters, core rules, conflict, assets, game mastering, allies and adversaries, Harvesters of Dune. That's that introductory adventure and appendix. I know there's at least some supplemental books that have come out. I think there's one on the houses of Dune. I was thinking about picking that up. I like some of the history of the and the background materials. And houses are very important in the Dune universe, so that's something I was thinking about picking that up. Might have to go out here again so you can see the full pages. I'm not going to do a page by page, but I thought I would at least try to hit some of the highlights. And this is my first look at it. I opened it up right here on film, so you're looking at it with me, or I'm looking at it with you for the first time. So here's some stuff about the D20 system. Here's the core book overview. That's kind of cool. You have an index, then you have this kind of a visual chapter outline as well. It's kind of cool. I'm liking the artwork. What is Dune? Golly, they explained all of Dune in half a page. That's good for them. Here's the universe of Dune. Agents and architects here. So quite a bit of background. Of course, you need that. Here's eras of play. This is kind of cool because, it's been a while since I went through the books, but there's a lot of history in these books. And the son teamed up with somebody and kind of went back and did a lot of prequel information to all the history of Dune. So if you want to look at any of the, and he started by doing house by house of books. So here's some of that history might have added to this history timeline here. So you got the Baudelairian Jihad, Reconstruction, Imperium, the ascension of the Muad'Dib. This is Dune, kind of. Here talks about. This is great. It shows you right here. It gives you the books, the novels that are tied to it. I like that. That's kind of cool. So here's where Dune kits in the Imperium, and then you get Dune in the subsequent books are in here, the Ascension of the Muad'Dib, the God Emperor. Of course, that's a Herbert book. The Scattering, the Age of the Enemy, and then you get in. This is get in some Frank Herbert, and then his son Brian Herbert and Kevin Anderson is the guy he teamed up with. So you get those. So that's kind of cool. I like that. Here's an example of play, like you need to know that. The known universe. So I've always been, I was a huge Kingmaker fan, the old board game, and which was based on the War of the Roses, and so all the houses and the different families and the heraldry, all that was very interesting to me, and it kind of got me into King Arthur and his knights. That was always an interest to me. So when I read Dune, this was done in a very different fashion. This is kind of, it had some of that feudal medieval feel to it, but it was kind of taken to a somewhat of a Middle Eastern motif, with the desert planet Dune, Arrakis, and then, religion was so important. I mean, you can, whether you want to bring in Christianity or Islam into the mix, but there was the religion and mystique of Dune with the Bene Gesserit and all that was kind of in here as well. So it just, the houses was kind of something I could grab onto and say, all right, that kind of reminds me of some of the feudal aspects of some of those things that I found interesting, like through King Arthur myths and War of the Roses and all that other stuff. And then of course Game of Thrones picked that up. And that's a big aspect of Game of Thrones. Anyway, that's a different role-playing game, right? Or a different universe to role-play. And I have some of that too. I might do a coffee with Kilroy on that. Anyway, so this is some of the history. So this is all historical text. That's kind of cool. Time for coffee. And here's a timeline. Wow, this is cool. I don't know if I've ever seen a Dune timeline. I do have a Dune kind of like encyclopedia or glossary that is kind of a reading aid for the series I picked up years ago in a bargain bin. So this is all history, technology. So, this is a lot of backdrop or background for Dune. Here we get into some of the houses. And I think they have a whole book that goes into a lot more detail on some of the houses here. The Chome is really big as far as the commerce aspect of it all. Spacing Guild's huge. Order of the Mentats. Boy, so you get the Bene Gesserit. So you're getting a lot of background here. So far, I haven't seen any swordsmasters, Now we're getting some of the planets. Here's Arrakis. Of course, that's the focus of the first book. Focus of a lot of the books, actually. Some of the different planets here. Creating your house. You can create your own house. That's kind of cool. How presumptuous that you create your own house. Homeworld and banners, roles. Here's enemies. So this is enemies of your house. So now creating your character. So that's all pretty much almost 100 pages of background material. So now let's get into creating your character. And I'm not familiar with the 2D20 system. I don't think I've played that. I might have some books on it or different systems, but I don't think I've played that particularly. So who are you? So there's different roles here. So I wonder if they're going to get into character creation of what kind of role you have. The measure of a character. So here's personal traits. So it looks like you have battle, communicate, discipline, move, understand. You have focuses. So there's battle focuses, communication focuses. understand focuses. And what about discipline? Oh, here's discipline focuses right down here. Okay. And here's move focuses. Okay, so those are your main traits. Here's drives. So they're really getting into the motivation of the character here. Ambition. Here's planned character creation. So you got concept, archetypes, skills, focuses, talents, drives and drive statements, and assets, and then finishing touches. So trait, ambition, and personal details down here at the bottom. And here's some examples maybe of like a Bene Gesserit, Freeman, Mentat, Spacing Guild Agent, Sook Doctor. Here's your archetypes. So these are kind of like your classes here, I would imagine here. Analyst, athlete, commander, all the way down to warrior. Get a duelist in there, sergeant, smuggler, spy. So I think that's those kind of classes. Again, I'm just not as familiar with the D20. Is it 2D20 system, I believe? Yeah, it is the 2D20 system. So not as familiar with that. I have a lot of role-playing systems. I just haven't gotten into that one. As far as I know. I mean, I might have a book on it. So War Masters, Socialites, so these are different archetypes here. Oh, so these are like, so these are discipline archetypes, so disciples, so you got analyst, herald, so all those ones we were looking at before, they kind of fit into different categories here. That's kind of cool. So academics are empaths, scholars, strategists, and spy. Then you look at your skills, focuses, talents, drives. Okay, cool. Assets and finishing touches. So those are the steps to create a character. And here's some example characters here. Here is Cara Mole as a commander. And you see what their drive is. Skills, talents, and starting assets. So this is the first I've seen of this duty, faith, justice, power, truth. I need to look into that, see where that comes into play. So here's your talents. All the improvised weapon, make haste, nimbles. They're all kinds of different. These are kind of like skills, but I guess they're talents. Here's creation and play. Here's your different 8 steps to do that. Running, creation, and play. Supporting characters, character advancement. So here's your experience. Well, there you have it. Kind of interesting, just the layout. I mean, these are interesting, but a lot of wasted space on some of this stuff. Of course, you just don't want to have it completely dense with text. All right, this is rules. So you got overview, scenes, skill tests. Here's your skill test procedure. Here's momentum, bending momentum. So that's kind of maybe a gameplay currency of sorts. Complications, threats, determination, contest, extended stats, then conflict. So here's your combat rules. A bit here. Forms of conflicts. You got dueling, skirmish, espionage, warfare, intrigue. Got a lot of intrigue and espionage. I might have to put this in my spy list as well, right? Assets, tools and resources. So there's some of your assets here. Here's an asset listing. Range weapon, melee weapons, armor and dress. Communicator. It's kind of cool. warfare assets, transports, ornithopters and shields, espionage assets. Dune is very much about, intrigue. Intrigue between the houses, amongst the Imperium, between guilds, all kinds of stuff going on there. Intrigue assets. Game mastering. So here's chapter 8. What does the game master do? I've many times asked that question. Here you can roll a short story hook. So this is something that get kind of quick start type stuff. Setting up a game, running a game. This is all GM's type material, but also in the context of this system. So that's worthwhile before you run a game. Allies and adversaries. House Atreides. Oh, this is good. It's kind of a background on the big players on House Atreides. There's Paul. Duncan, Idaho. House Harkonnen. House Carino. That's the Emperor. Freeman. That's cool. There's a little bit more background here. You got some character setups, like this is a sample assassin and a sample Bene Gesserit agent. Here's a Reverend Mother. Here's a criminal. Put those on opposite pages. That's interesting. Face dancer. Cool. All right. I told you I wasn't going to do a page by page. I pretty much did a page by page. All right. So there you go. Rival houses. We're almost there. There's quite a bit in here. So this is this might be worth the pickup. I got this at a greatly reduced price. So this was I wouldn't necessarily call it a bargain, but it was at a good price. So that's why I picked it up. Cool. And then you got the appendix. So it has some of your charts of sorts. So I don't see this as very chart heavy. Not a lot of mention about even die rolls and stuff in here. So, I mean, there's the test and stuff, but there's an example character sheet. So, interesting. This is definitely something interesting, something definitely different than anything else I have on this topic. So, anyway, there you have it. Went a little long. I need some coffee, but I thought I would share this with you. Dune, Adventures in the Imperium, the role-playing game. So just in time for, or ahead of the next installment of Dune coming out, make sure you take a look or consider my recommendations there if you want to look at it. I have that other movie somewhere, the 80s movie. And the 80s is not as bad as what people think. At least that's my opinion on it. But who am I? Anyway, that is Dune. Oh, man, I don't have any place to put this stuff here. I'll come out even more. There we go. On Coffee with Kilroy, Sci-Fi Fantasy Saturday. Kilroy Goes to the Movies, and a little bit of a book review on Dune, the role-playing game. Thank you so much for stopping by. I got a little bit of glare there. Thank you so much for stopping by, and appreciate any time you spend with me, because I know you have a lot of choices. And let me know what you think about any of this stuff. As I said, I'm open to comments. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, thanks all, and I hope you have a great one. Take care. Thanks for watching.